Welcome back to The Deep Dive. We're the podcast where we take that big stack of articles, reports, all the source material out there, and we sift through it, get rid of the hype, and really just give you the focused insights you need, especially for these big aspirational topics.
And today, we're definitely tackling a big one. We're doing a pretty massive deep dive, logistically and financially.
Where are we headed?
We are flying, metaphorically at least, to French Polynesia. We're going to take a really close look at, well, the destination that tops pretty much everyone's bucket list, Bora Bora.
Ah, Bora Bora, the undisputed heavyweight champion of dream destinations. Seriously, just type it into Google, and bam, you're hit with this, visual perfection. That lagoon, that's impossibly turquoise, isn't it? So protected.
Completely. And then that mountain, Mount Otomanu, just dominates the skyline. It's so jagged and green.
And of course, the icons themselves. Those thatched roof huts just kind of floating there serenely on the water. It really is, visually it's a masterpiece, no question.
It really is the screensaver that launched, 1,000 daydreams, probably more. But let's be real here. The moment you mention Bora Bora, it brings up two feelings, right? Ultimate luxury, absolutely. But also, let's face it, this feeling of, total financial dread.
Yeah, the price tag looms large. So our sources, they definitely confirm the beauty is real, the photos. They aren't faking it.
No exaggeration there.
But we really need to look past just that fantasy picture because, when you start adding up the travel day, which is a marathon, we should call it a pilgrimage, maybe.
That's a good word for it.
And then the prices for literally everything once you're there. The bungalow, sure, but even a bottle of water, it's eye-watering. So that brings us to the core question we need to answer for you, the listener.
Right. Our mission today, really, is to figure out in detail if the reality of being in Bora Bora actually lives up to that, frankly, astronomical price tag.
So we're going to break it all down, every step. The journey, the logistics, the hidden costs.
The money side, yeah. Analyzing why it costs so much.
Yeah.
And then looking at the actual experiences. What makes it potentially, worth that huge investment?
I do wonder if framing it as a pilgrimage isn't maybe just clever marketing,
Yeah.
Designed to make us accept 30 hours of travel and this massive bill.
Huh. Maybe. We should test that theory.
Let's do it. So we'll break down that journey, look at the different tiers of those famous Overwater bungalows, the economics there.
Dissect the food situation.
Yeah.
That huge gap between eating at the fancy resort versus finding, local value.
Yeah, the roulottes. We'll get into those. And then deliver, a final verdict, data-driven as much as possible. So let's unpack this ultimate travel dream.
Okay, so before you even dip a toe in that turquoise water, you've got to complete the pilgrimage.
The pilgrimage, let's call it that.
And our sources are really, really clear on this. This isn't just hopping on a plane. It's not a casual trip.
Right.
It's a journey that demands, a pretty significant financial offering up front and honestly a good amount of patience.
That idea of earning the view, it feels pretty central to the Bora Bora thing, doesn't it?
It does. So your first stop, your first checkpoint, doesn't matter where you're flying from in the world.
Okay.
It's Faya International Airport. That's in Papeete, on the main island of Tahiti.
Okay, Tahiti first. Makes sense.
So if you're listening in North America, you're probably looking at an 8 or 9 hour flight.
Huh?
Usually from LA or San Francisco. Those are the main hubs.
Pretty standard long haul then.
Yeah, and you usually land really early in the morning, which is kind of good for jet lag, maybe. But still, that's a long overnight flight just to get to French Polynesia.
And if you're coming from further afield, Europe, Asia.
Oh, then it gets much longer.
Yeah.
You're adding connecting flights, often routing through places like New Zealand or Australia, maybe even back through the U.S.
Right.
That pushes your total travel time easily past 24 hours. Sometimes, with layovers, you're looking closer to 30 hours.
Wow. That's a serious upfront time commitment. You basically lose 2 full days just in transit.
Right. Easily. You have to factor that in. And here's a crucial point where people maybe haven't done their homework, mess up their budget or their timeline.
Okay.
They think landing in Papeete means, great, I'm basically there.
But you're not.
Not even close. That's just checkpoint 1. You still have a mandatory connection to make, an inter-island one.
Okay, this sounds important. Logistically and maybe financially too.
Both. This is where the price and the incredible scenery really collide. From Tahiti, you have to take another flight. It's short, only about 50 minutes, but it's stunning.
Which airline is this?
It's Air Tahiti. And the sources make a point of this technical distinction, so we should too. This is Air Tahiti, the local inter-island carrier. They fly the smaller turboprop planes.
Okay, not Air Tahiti Nui.
Exactly. Air Tahiti Nui is the big international airline that got you to Papeete. Air Tahiti takes you within French Polynesia.
Why does that distinction matter so much?
Well, logistics, mainly. Your bags might need to be collected in Papeete and then rechecked for the Air Tahiti flight. You might be changing terminals, or at least different parts of the airport.
Right. Bit of a hassle.
And crucially, your baggage allowance might be way lower on that smaller Air Tahiti plane, especially if you booked it separately or if the flight's full.
Ah, hidden costs.
Bingo. Oversized bags, overweight bags on Air Tahiti, that can mean instant, pretty hefty fees. Another thing unprepared travelers get hit with.
And the cost of the flight itself, this 50-minute hop.
Right. It's mandatory, it's short, but is not included in your international ticket price. And it's definitely not cheap.
How much are we talking, ballpark?
You should budget somewhere between $200 and $400 US, round trip, per person.
Wow. So for a couple, that's like nearly $1,000 just for that last little flight.
Easily. It's a non-negotiable cost you have to build into the budget from the start.
Okay, but you said stunning. Is there an upside?
Oh yeah, big upside. The investment pays off visually almost immediately.
Yeah.
People consistently say this 50-minute flight is one of the most beautiful flights on Earth.
Really? Why?
You're flying low enough to really see everything.
Yeah.
You hop over these incredible coral atolls, you see the vast ocean and the water below. It just shifts through every single shade of blue imaginable. It's breathtaking.
Okay, I can picture that.
And here's a pro tip, straight from the source material for anyone planning this.
Lay it on us.
Make sure, absolutely insist on getting a window seat on the left side of the plane for that flight into Bora Bora.
The left side. Why so specific?
Because as the plane starts to descend, that left side gives you the absolute best, most iconic first glimpse of Mount Automanu rising straight out of the lagoon.
Ah, the money shot.
That's your instant, jaw-dropping wow moment, your first proper postcard view, even before you land.
Okay, left side, got it. So where do you actually land?
You land at this tiny, really unique airport. It's built entirely on its own motu.
Motu? What's a motu?
It's basically a small islet formed out of coral sitting on the barrier reef that surrounds the main island.
So the airport isn't even on the main island?
Nope. It's literally on this little strip of land out on the reef ring, which immediately adds to that feeling of seclusion,
Definitely. So you land on this motu, then what? How do you get to your hotel?
And right here, this is where your Bora Bora experience really starts to branch off based on your choices, especially your accommodation and budget.
Okay, two paths emerge.
Pretty much. If you've gone all out, booked one of those top-tier luxury resorts, the St. Regis, Four Seasons, Conrad Bride, which are also usually on their own private modus.
Right, for maximum seclusion.
Then your transfer is the super luxury option. It's described as this surreal James Bond level arrival.
Huh. Okay, James Bond, what does that involve?
The hotel's private launch, maybe even a small yacht, is waiting right there at the airport dock. They often greet you with chilled towels, maybe champagne. It's that seamless white glove welcome that just instantly makes you forget the, 24 or 30 hours of flying you just endured.
Okay, that sounds pretty amazing. What's the other path?
The other path is, if you've chosen accommodation on the main island, probably in or near the main town, Baitap, or maybe a slightly less luxurious Motu resort.
The more budget-conscious or maybe local experience-focused option.
Exactly. In that case, you can take the public air Tahiti ferry. It runs regularly from the airport Motu across the lagoon to the main port in Baitap.
Is it easy to use? Expensive?
Our sources say it's actually really efficient. It's timed with the flight arrivals. And here's the key. It's free.
Free. Okay, that's a big difference from the private yacht.
Huge difference. And choosing the ferry, it's kind of the first signal that a traveler is maybe prioritizing authenticity or value over that pure, uninterrupted luxury bubble.
Makes sense. What about money, currency? Should we touch on that quickly?
Good point. The local currency is the CFP franc, the Pacific franc. It's usually pegged to the euro, so the exchange rate is stable against that.
Can you use US dollars or euros? Credit cards?
In the big resorts and maybe some tourist shops, yes. Often you can use major credit cards, and sometimes they'll take USD or euros, but likely at a less favorable rate.
But for local stuff?
For the smaller shops in Vaitep, the food trucks, the roulottes we mentioned, definitely better to have local CFP francs. You'll get a better deal, and it's just easier for those smaller transactions. Don't assume everywhere is cashless.
Good tip. So let's recap the journey part. You're looking at a marathon travel time, 15 hours minimum from the West Coast U.S., maybe up to 30 from elsewhere.
Right.
Plus a mandatory, pretty pricey inter-island flight, potentially extra baggage fees before you even set foot on a boat, whether it's the fancy yacht or the free ferry.
Exactly. That's why pilgrimage feels right. You're kind of tested financially and just endurance-wise before you get the reward.
Okay, pilgrimage complete. We've survived the journey. Now let's talk about the main event. The reason Bora Bora is Bora Bora, the Overwater Bungalow.
Yes, the ultimate travel icon. This specific architectural marvel is pretty much the main, sometimes the only reason Bora Bora stays right at the top of global travel wish lists.
It's that image, isn't it? That thatched roof hut somehow perched on stilts over turquoise water that, as you said, costs more per night than renting a decent apartment in New York City for a month.
Pretty much sums it up.
Oh.
And the features, they sell the fantasy, right? The private deck where you can just jump straight into that incredibly clear lagoon.
Love that.
The outdoor shower, maybe.
Okay.
And the classic, that glass floor panel inside. So you can just sit there and watch tropical fish swim underneath your feet.
It sounds amazing. But why so expensive? What actually drives that cost beyond just demand?
Well, the infrastructure required is incredibly complex and costly. Think about it. You're building luxury structures over salt water.
Not easy.
You need really deep pilings driven into the lagoon floor to make sure they're stable against currents, tides, maybe even storms. All the materials have to be a marine grade to resist constant salt corrosion.
And utilities, power, water.
Exactly. You have to run electricity, fresh water, and crucially, septic systems out from the land under the lagoon floor to each individual bungalow. It's a huge engineering challenge.
And maintenance must be insane.
Constant. Salt water is incredibly corrosive. Wood needs treating. Metal needs replacing. Just the upkeep costs are staggering. That's a massive factor in the nightly rate.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's not just markup. There's real cost involved. But let's break down the options, because not all bungalows are created equal, right? There are tiers.
Absolutely. Understanding the different levels of luxury and the price points that go with them is crucial if you're trying to budget this trip realistically.
So let's start at the very, very top. Tier 1, the absolute pinnacle.
Okay, Tier 1, pinnacle luxury. Here we're talking about the legendary names, the St. Regis, the Four Seasons. These aren't just bungalows. They're more like sprawling overwater villas or estates.
What makes them villas? Size? Features?
Both. We're talking huge spaces, maybe 1,500 square feet, sometimes up to 2,500 square feet or even more.
Oh, that's bigger than my apartment.
Easily. They often have separate living rooms, maybe multiple bathrooms, huge multi-level decks. And the features are totally bespoke.
Like what?
Private plunge pools built right into the deck overlooking the lagoon, maybe motorized shutters or screens for privacy, and often personal butlers available 24/7.
A butler. Wow. What do they do?
Pretty much anything. Unpack your bags, make dinner reservations, arrange activities, bring you snacks. Total personalized service.
And the location of these Tier 1 places.
That's key, too. These resorts usually snag the absolute prime real estate on the modus. The spots that guarantee those completely unobstructed, perfectly framed, iconic views of Mount Automano.
You're literally paying for the postcard view.
Exactly. That specific, perfect picture. And the price for that perfection. Well, brace yourself.
You're with it.
In high season, our sources confirm you're looking at $1,500 US minimum per night. And it can easily go well over $5,000 per night for the top villas.
$5,000 a night. So a week could be $30,000.
Yeah.
$35,000 just for the room.
Yep. Before you even factor in flights or a single bite of food. It's truly staggering.
So what's the value proposition there? Who pays that and why?
It's about buying into a total, hermetically sealed luxury bubble. You're paying for absolutely impeccable anticipatory service, total seclusion on your private motu.
Right.
And access to everything within the resort. Private lagoons, world-class spas, multiple fine dining restaurants. The idea is you never need to leave the property. It's designed for ultimate relaxation without any external friction.
Okay. Makes sense for a certain type of traveler with very deep pockets. What about the next step down? Tier 2.
Tier 2 is what we might call accessible luxury. Still incredible, still true 5-star, but maybe slightly less. Stratospheric in price.
Which resorts fit here?
Think top-rated places like the Conrad Bora Bora Nui or the Intercontinental Thalasso Spa. Still absolutely stunning properties.
And the price difference?
It's noticeable. You're typically looking in the range of, say, $1,000 to maybe $2,000 per night. Still a huge amount of money, but significantly less than Tier 1.
Okay, still very expensive, but maybe saves you $10K, $15K over a week compared to the top tier. What are the subtle differences? What do you give up?
It's often subtle, The Overwater bungalows are still amazing, but maybe a bit smaller, say 800 to 1,200 square feet. Still palatial, but not quite the sprawling mansions of Tier 1.
Okay.
The view of Mount Automanu might be slightly less perfect, maybe a bit more distant or partially angled, or maybe another motu is slightly in the frame.
Still beautiful, just not the absolute dead center postcard shot.
Exactly. Service is still world-class, but maybe you share a main pool with other guests more often.
Yeah.
A private plunge pool might be an upgrade category, not standard in every single bungalow.
Gotcha. So you're making like marginal compromises on the absolute ultimate definition of perfection, but you're saving a significant chunk of change.
Precisely. Still an absolutely incredible dreamlike experience for most people.
Okay, now what about the option for people who see those numbers, even the Tier 2 numbers, and just think absolutely no way? Is there a Bora Bora experience for them?
Yes. And this is crucial for the pragmatic traveler. Tier 3. The main island alternative. This means staying in or around the main town, Vaitape.
So no Overwater bungalow.
Correct. You sacrifice that iconic Overwater experience entirely. You're staying on solid ground. But what you gain is a massive relief on the budget.
What kind of places are we talking about, and what kind of prices?
You'd be looking at smaller hotels, local guest houses, often called pensions, or maybe Airbnb rentals.
And the cost?
You could potentially find a really nice beachfront room, or maybe a simple garden bungalow for somewhere in the range of $300 to $500 a night.
Okay, that's still not cheap compared to Southeast Asia, maybe, but it's a tiny fraction of the Overwater resort costs.
Exactly. We're talking maybe 10–20% of the cost of a high-end bungalow. And choosing this option fundamentally changes your trip.
How so?
By staying in Vaitape, you get a much more authentic, local feel. You're not isolated on a resort motu. You're integrated into the actual working life of the island.
And practically.
You have immediate, often walkable, access to local supermarkets, shops, the ferry dock, and really importantly, the local value-driven restaurants and food trucks, the roulottes, which we need to talk about next.
Right. So you save big on the room.
And that frees up a significant amount of money in your budget. Money you can then strategically spend on those really high-value experiences, like the amazing lagoon tours, the diving, the 4x4 trips.
So you're prioritizing doing things over having the fanciest possible place to sleep.
Precisely. You're paying for the unique experiences of Bora Bora, not necessarily for the specific square footage of the hut on stilts.
Okay, so this brings it back to the listener, doesn't it? The decision really boils down to what you prioritize.
Completely. Is your dream the absolute all-inclusive, secluded luxury bubble where the view is perfect and every need is met before you even think of it?
The Tier 1 or Tier 2 experience.
Right. Or is your priority more about exploring the place, interacting with the local culture, saving money on the base cost so you can spend more on activities, and maybe eating more locally?
The Tier 3 main island approach.
They're both valid ways to experience Bora Bora's beauty, but they result in two profoundly different kinds of trips.
Okay, we've established that just securing a place to sleep might require taking out a small loan. Now let's talk about the other major financial drain, eating and drinking.
Ah, yes, the gastronomic equation. This is where, especially if you're staying at one of those isolated luxury resorts on a motu, the cost can truly spiral out of control.
Why is it so bad at the resorts?
It boils down to being a captive audience. You're out on a private island, essentially. You can't just wander down the street to grab a cheap bite. Your options are the resort's restaurants and bars.
And they know it.
They definitely know it. And you're paying a massive premium for the convenience, the ambiance, and, well, the logistics involved in getting food there in the first place. The sticker shock at mealtimes is real.
Let's dig into the why a bit more. We touched on logistics for construction, but why is, say, a simple bottle of imported water $15 or $20? That seems insane.
It does. But there's a chain of factors. First, Bora Bora is incredibly remote. Almost everything, besides maybe some local fish and a few fruits, has to be imported.
Okay.
So that bottle of water, the wine, the beef, even many vegetables, they first had to be shipped internationally to the main port in Papua, Tahiti. That's leg one.
Right, the main hub.
Then it has to be transferred again, usually by smaller supply boats or barges, across another 150 miles or so of ocean to reach Bora Bora itself.
So double or even triple handling, plus multiple shipping costs.
Exactly. Second, French Polynesia has significant import duties and taxes. These taxes are a major source of revenue for the territory, but they act as a huge multiplier on the base cost of goods coming in.
Okay, import taxes add another layer.
Third, you've got French labor laws applying. This means relatively high wages and benefits for resort staff compared to many other tropical destinations, which is ethically good, of course, but it adds significantly to the resort's operational overhead.
So combine the journey, the taxes, the labor costs.
And that bottle of water that cost the supplier maybe $1 wholesale back in LA or France might cost a resort $5 or $6 just to get it onto their property.
And then they add their markup.
A hefty one, often 300% or more, to cover their own operating costs, service, ambience, and profit. And suddenly that water is $15 or $20 on your bill.
Wow. Okay, that context helps explain it, even if it still hurts the wallet. What about actual meal costs? Give us some examples from the sources.
Okay, brace yourself. A simple lunch by the pool, maybe a club sandwich, and a local Hinano beer, easily $70 to $80 US.
For a sandwich and a beer?
Yep. And a proper dinner for 2 people at one of the resort's nice fine dining restaurants, you're looking at $300 to $500 pretty commonly. And that's often before you add a bottle of wine, which will also have that massive markup.
Good grief. So if you stay for a week at one of these isolated resorts and you don't have some kind of all-inclusive meal plan.
Which are also very expensive.
Right. Your food and drink bill alone could easily hit $5,000, $6,000, maybe even $7,000 for the week.
Easily. It can genuinely rival or sometimes even exceed the cost of the accommodation itself. It's a huge continuous expense you have to be prepared for.
Now, let's be fair. Is the food at least good at these prices?
Generally, yes. The quality is usually very high. You often see a strong French influence, given it's French Polynesia, blended with local Polynesian flavors. Lots of incredibly fresh, beautifully prepared local tuna, mahi-mahi, snapper.
Okay, so it's not bad food.
Definitely not. It's often excellent. But as one source puts it, it's ultimately resort food. You're paying a premium for the convenience, the setting, the presentation, maybe not necessarily for a unique, authentic cultural experience.
So if you want better value and maybe something more authentic, you have to leave the resort bubble.
Absolutely. You must commit to making the trip from your fancy Motu resort over to the main island, to Vaitath. That's where you find the local culinary scene.
And the star of that scene seems to be the roulottes, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about those.
Yes. The roulottes are basically food trucks. And they are, by all accounts, the absolute best source for value and authentic local food in Bora Bora.
Where do you find them?
They gather most evenings in the main square in Vaitepe. It creates this really lively, fun, informal atmosphere. Lots of locals, lots of tourists in the know.
What kind of food do they serve?
Great variety. You'll find amazing grilled local fish, huge portions cooked perfectly, classic French dishes like steak frites, surprisingly good Chinese food that's actually a big staple in Polynesian cuisine, and wonderful dessert crepes.
And the price difference compared to the resort?
It's revolutionary. You can get a fantastic, filling, high-quality meal at a roulotte for maybe $20 to $30 per person.
$20 versus like $150 for a similar main course at the resort.
Exactly. The savings are just staggering, and the experience is totally different. You're sitting at plastic picnic tables, eating alongside local families, other travelers. You feel like you're actually in Bora Bora, not just observing it from a luxury compound.
That sounds much better, honestly, both for the wallet and the experience.
It's a strategy that not only saves you serious money enough to easily pay for another big activity, but it actually provides a more memorable, authentic experience.
Yeah.
You're participating, not just consuming.
Okay, roulottes are a must-do. What about specific dishes? Is there anything absolutely essential to try?
Yes, one dish stands above all others as the taste of French Polynesia. Poisson cru.
Poisson cru, what is it?
It translates to raw fish. It's a national dish, and you really should try it several times. It's incredibly fresh, raw tuna, usually yellowfin.
Like sashimi?
Similar, but then it's marinated briefly in lime juice, kind of like a ceviche.
Okay.
And then the magic ingredient, it's mixed with freshly squeezed coconut milk, often with some diced cucumber, tomato, onion.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Creamy, tangy, fresh.
It's utterly refreshing, light, rich, but not heavy. It's just the perfect expression of the islands on a plate. You have to try it.
Where's the best place to get it? Resorts, roulottes.
You'll find it everywhere, from the fanciest resort buffet to the simplest roadside snack shack. But arguably, getting it from a local place, maybe a roulotte known for their fresh seafood, might give you the most robust, authentic version.
Got it. Poisson cru. Mandatory. Any other specific restaurants worth mentioning on the main island?
There's one famous institution, Bloody Mary's.
Ah, I've heard of that place. What's the deal there?
It's definitely a tourist fixture, very recognizable with its big thatched roof and famously sand floors inside the restaurant.
Sand floors. Cool. What's their specialty?
Their unique thing is how they present the menu. There's no printed menu for the main courses. Instead, the day's fresh catch-whole tuna, snapper, mahi-mahi, sometimes lobster is laid out on a big bed of ice near the entrance.
Okay.
And a staff member walks you through what each fish is, how it can be prepared, and you point to exactly which piece of fish you want them to cook for you.
That's a cool concept. Very fresh. Is it good value, like the roulottes?
No, definitely not. While it's a classic experience, and the fish is generally excellent, Bloody Mary's primarily caters to the resort tourists who make the trip over. It's quite expensive.
So maybe worth doing once for the experience, but not the place for everyday value.
Exactly. It's an institution, it's fun, but stick to the roulottes for the best combination of quality, authenticity, and price on a regular basis.
Okay, so the overall food strategy seems clear. If you're at a resort, brace for impact on the wallet. Understand why it's expensive: logistics, taxes.
Right. But strategically plan and commit to making those trips over to Vatape, especially in the evenings, to hit up the roulottes.
That's where you save money, eat authentically, and actually keep the food budget from completely torpedoing your whole financial plan for the trip.
Precisely. Eat like a local, save like a savvy traveler.
Okay, we've talked about the massive investment required just to get there and have a place to sleep, and then the ongoing cost of just eating.
It ends up fast.
Which means, to really feel like you got your money's worth, you absolutely cannot just sit on your fancy bungalow deck the entire time, right? No matter how gorgeous that view is.
Exactly. Our sources are unanimous on this. You paid a premium to be in that specific, incredible environment. You have to get out and engage with it. You need to convert that currency into actual unforgettable memories.
So what's the number one absolutely essential, non-negotiable activity?
Without a doubt, it's the full-day lagoon tour. This should be the first thing you book, the centerpiece of your activity plan.
Why is it so essential?
Because this is where you truly understand why Bora Bora is legendary. It's on this tour that you witness the lagoon in all its glory. You see those 50 shades of blue everyone talks about?
Right, the watercolor changes?
Dramatically. You'll glide over areas of deep cobalt blue. Then suddenly it shifts to this impossible bright turquoise or aquamarine, sometimes in just a few yards. It's mesmerizing.
And the cost for these tours?
Typically around $150 to $200 US per person for a full day trip, usually including lunch.
Okay, not cheap, but maybe reasonable compared to a resort dinner.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the source material explicitly calls this the one expense that is worth every penny. This is the activity that truly validates why you made the pilgrimage.
What do these tours usually involve? What are the key stops?
A good standard full-day tour usually hits 3 main highlights, each offering a different way to connect with the lagoon's ecosystem.
Okay, number one.
Number one, and often the most thrilling for people, is snorkeling with blacktip reef sharks and stingrays.
Whoa, sharks. Is that safe?
Totally safe.
Yeah.
That's what all the sources emphasize. The blacktip reef sharks you encounter here are relatively small, maybe 3 to 5 feet long. And they are genuinely harmless to humans.
Okay.
They're very used to the tour boats. One source even described them as acting like curious puppies. They might swim near you, but they're completely uninterested in the snorkelers.
All right, that's reassuring. What about the stingrays?
The stingrays are even more interactive. They're incredibly gentle and seem almost friendly. They'll often glide right up to you in the shallow, warm water. You can sometimes even gently touch their backs. They feel surprisingly smooth, like velvet.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
It's a really magical, safe encounter. The guides are experts at managing the interaction respectfully. It makes for incredible photos and a truly unforgettable experience.
Okay, shark and ray snorkeling. What's stop number 2?
Stop number 2 is usually a visit to a spot called the Coral Garden. This is typically a protected area within the lagoon where the coral formations are particularly rich and vibrant.
So more snorkeling.
Yes, but focus on the coral and the fish. It's literally like swimming inside a giant, natural, open-air aquarium.
What kind of fish do you see?
Thousands of colorful tropical fish. You'll see clownfish darting in anemones, big parrotfish munching on coral, pufferfish, angelfish. Just incredible biodiversity. And the water clarity is insane, often 50, 100 feet of visibility. It's spectacular, even if you're not an expert snorkeler.
Sounds incredible. Okay, sharks, rays, coral garden. What's the third part? How does the tour usually end?
It usually ends in the most idyllic way possible, with a traditional motu picnic.
A picnic on one of those little islets?
Exactly. The tour boat pulls up to a small, often private motu. The guides set up lunch, often grilling fresh local fish and chicken right there on the beach. Sometimes they'll even make poisson cru fresh for you.
No way.
Yeah. And you eat this delicious lunch sitting at picnic tables, literally with your feet in the warm, white sand, looking back across that stunning lagoon towards Mount Atamanu. It's the perfect end to the day.
Okay, I'm sold. Full-day lagoon tour is mandatory. What else? What other ways should you experience the island?
Well, besides the main tour, you should definitely explore from both the water and the land to get different perspectives.
Okay, water first.
By water, if you want something a bit more high energy, renting jet skis is popular. You can actually circumnavigate the entire main island.
Really? What's the benefit of that?
It gives you a totally different sense of scale. You see the coastline from all angles, and you really appreciate the contrast between the calm, protected inner lagoon and the deep blue, powerful Pacific Ocean, just on the other side of the barrier reef.
Sounds cool. Anything more low-key?
Absolutely. Most resorts offer complimentary paddle boards and kayaks. Just grabbing one and paddling around the waters right off your bungalow, maybe early morning when it's super calm. That's a fantastic, peaceful way to explore at your own pace. Total silence.
Nice. Any other niche water activities? Scuba.
Definitely.
Okay.
For certified divers, there are dedicated scuba excursions. These usually take you outside the main lagoon, through passes in the reef, into the open ocean.
What do you see out there?
That's where you have a better chance of seeing larger marine life manta rays, sea turtles, maybe bigger sharks like lemon sharks, depending on the season and the site. The currents can be stronger, so it's usually for more experienced divers.
What if you don't want to get wet but still see underwater?
There are options like glass-bottom boat tours, which are pretty relaxed, and some operators even run small, tourist-oriented submarine tours that take you down along the reef slope.
A submarine. Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Now what about land? We can't forget that giant mountain in the middle.
Mount Otamanu. Absolutely. It's the geological heart and soul of Bora Bora's landscape, that jagged, dramatic peak.
Can you hike it? Climb to the top?
This is a crucial detail from the sources.
Yeah.
No, you cannot climb to the absolute summit.
Why not?
Two main reasons. First, the highest parts are considered tapu, or sacred, in Polynesian culture.
Yeah.
And second, apparently the rock is very brittle and crumbly up there, making it physically too dangerous and treacherous for regular hiking. So it's restricted for both cultural respect and safety.
Okay, good to know. So you can't summit, but can you still explore the mountain somehow?
Yes, absolutely. And this is highly recommended. The best way is to take a guided 4x4 tour. Sometimes they use ATVs too.
Where do these tours go?
They take you up into the lower hills and ridges of the main island's interior, on rugged tracks. They stop at several strategic lookout points.
And the views.
Breathtaking. These viewpoints give you these incredible panoramic vistas over the entire lagoon system. You can really see how the central volcanic cone, the surrounding motus, and the barrier reef all fit together.
Ah, so it helps you understand the geography.
Exactly. You grasp why Bora Bora looks the way it does. You're seeing the remnants of this massive ancient volcano that collapsed into the sea. That 4x4 tour gives you that essential geological context, plus amazing photos.
Okay, that sounds worthwhile too. Any tips on booking these activities? Do it through the hotel.
That's a great point about saving money. While the hotel concierge is helpful for information, they often add a significant markup if you book directly through their desk.
The book direct.
Often, yes. If you can identify the actual local tour operator providing the lagoon tour or the 4x4 trip, and book directly with them, maybe find them online beforehand or visit their office in Vitap, you can often save 10% to 20% on the exact same tour the resort is selling. Worth looking into.
All right, let's get practical, maybe even a little ruthless. We've established this trip costs a fortune. It can easily become a financial black hole if you're not careful.
Absolutely. Vigilance is key.
So let's talk strategy. Where can you actually cut costs? What can you safely skip without fundamentally ruining the core Bora Bora magic? It's about prioritizing, right? Experiences over maybe unnecessary markups.
Exactly. And the first big emphatic skip recommended in our source material might surprise some people. Skip the high-end Tahitian black pearl shops.
Really? But black pearls are like the souvenir from French Polynesia, aren't they?
They are. They're beautiful, unique, and a major export. But the problem is the price you pay in the fancy resort boutiques or the prominent glossy stores in Vitap. The markup is described as astronomical.
How bad is it?
Sources suggest that for a certified branded pearl in one of those prime locations, the markup can easily be 400% or more compared to buying closer to the source.
400%. What are you paying for then?
You're paying mostly for the brand name, the fancy air-conditioned store, the elaborate presentation box, the prime retail rent, not necessarily just the pearl itself.
Okay, so it feels like a bit of a tourist trap for luxury travelers.
It can definitely feel that way. So if you genuinely love the pearls and want to buy one as a meaningful souvenir, the strategic alternative is to do some research before your trip.
Research what?
Look into visiting an actual accredited pearl farm. Many smaller, often family-run farms exist, sometimes on Bora Bora itself, but often on nearby islands like Taha, which is just a short boat ride away.
And you can buy directly from the farm?
Often, yes, or from their associated workshops. Not only are you likely to get a much fairer price for a similar quality pearl, but you also get a really cool experience. You get to learn about the fascinating, really complicated, multi-year process of how these pearls are cultivated inside the oysters. It adds meaning to the purchase, beyond just the price tag.
Okay, skip the fancy pearl shops. Consider visiting a farm instead. Got it. What's next on the skip list?
This is a really practical one. Skip buying basic essentials on the island if you can avoid it. Things like sunscreen, basic snacks, maybe some toiletries.
Why? Just because of the general high cost of living there?
Exactly. It goes back to that import tax and logistics issue we talked about with food. Because everything has to be shipped in and taxed, everyday items can be shockingly expensive.
Give me an example.
High-quality, reef-safe sunscreen, the kind you need in that intense tropical sun. A tube that might cost you $15, $20 at home, it'd easily be $40 or even $50 in a resort shop or even a local store in Viteb.
Wow, that adds up fast if you need a few tubes for a week.
It really does. So the strategy here is preparation. Before you leave home, pack a good supply of your essential consumables. Definitely high SPF, reef-safe sunscreen. Maybe some of your preferred snacks like protein bars or nuts. Basic toiletries.
Bringing it with you saves potentially hundreds of dollars.
Easily over the course of a week.
Yeah.
And it means you can spend your precious local currency on unique experiences or that poisson cru, not on overpriced sunscreen you could have brought from home.
Smart. Very practical. Okay, what's the third big skip?
This one targets something the resorts heavily promote. Skip the super elaborate, private, romantic dinners.
I know the ones. They set up a table just for you, way out on the beach, tiki torches, flower petals everywhere. Looks amazing in the photos.
Looks amazing, yes. And the price tag is usually equally amazing in the wrong direction. We're talking typically around $700 US, maybe even more, just for that private dinner setup for two.
$700 for one meal. What's the catch? Why skip it?
The huge caveat, the financial red flag our sources point out, is that very often you're eating the exact same food that's being served in the resort's main fine dining restaurant that night.
Seriously, you're just eating it in a different location.
Pretty much. You're paying hundreds of extra dollars primarily for the location change, the tiki torches, and maybe a dedicated waiter for that hour or two.
That seems excessive.
It does. The thinking is that $700 could be much better spent on something truly unique and memorable, like maybe upgrading your lagoon tour to a private boat charter for half a day now that's seclusion and romance.
Yeah, or paying for several amazing scuba dives.
Exactly. Bora Bora itself, especially if you're in an overwater bungalow, is already inherently romantic. You probably don't need to spend an extra $700 just to move your dinner plate 50 yards down the beach.
Good point. Skip the private dinner, use the money for a better experience. Okay, any other skips?
The last one is less about a specific item and more about a mindset. Skip the pressure to be constantly busy.
What do you mean?
This is maybe especially relevant for people who paid top dollar for that incredible bungalow. You've spent a fortune on this amazing private space over the water. Don't feel like you have to schedule an activity every single morning and every single afternoon just to feel like you're maximizing the trip.
Because the relaxation is part of the value.
It's arguably the main part of the value. The greatest, purest luxury Bora Bora offers is perhaps the permission to do absolutely nothing at all.
So embrace the downtime.
Yes. Use that expensive deck you paid for, spend a whole afternoon just reading a book, order room service, jump off your deck into the lagoon whenever you feel like it. Take a nap.
That sounds pretty good, actually.
That intentional slowness, that quiet relaxation, that total disconnection from the usual rush, that's a huge part of what you're paying for in Bora Bora. Don't undermine it by feeling obligated to fill every single second with scheduled activities. Just be there.
Okay, we've covered the journey, the money, both spending it and saving it, the bungalows, the food, the must-do activities. Let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk about the vibe. What does Bora Bora actually feel like when you're there? Beyond the perfect photos.
That's a great question. And the overwhelming answer from the source material is incredibly serene.
Serene. How so?
There's this deep, palpable sense of quietness. especially if you're staying out on one of the resort modus. Because there are no cars allowed out there, the soundscape is really natural.
What do you hear?
Mostly just the gentle lapping of the lagoon water against the stilts of your bungalow, maybe the sound of a distant boat motor, the wind rustling the palm fronds. It's incredibly peaceful.
And the pace of life.
Inherently slow. This really taps into that Polynesian concept of mana. It's sort of a spiritual life force and energy, but it also translates to a certain ease, a lack of hurry. Nobody rushes in Bora Bora. You find yourself naturally slowing down to match the island's rhythm.
That sounds lovely. What about the people? The local interaction?
The local Polynesian people are consistently described as being profoundly warm and welcoming. There's a genuine kindness and a noticeable pride in their island home that comes across. It makes the service feel less transactional and more genuinely hospitable.
Does that vibe extend to the main town, Vitape, or is that different?
Vitape definitely has a different energy. It's a working town, but that warmth is still there. And it's really important, I think, for visitors to make that effort to leave the resort Motu and actually see Vitape.
Why is that important?
Because it grounds the experience in reality. It reminds you that Bora Bora isn't just a theme park built for tourists. It's a real place where people live and work.
What do you see there?
You see everyday life. Kids playing soccer in the town square after school, people doing their grocery shopping, chatting outside the post office, fishermen coming in with their catch. It's authentic.
And that contrast is valuable between the resort and the town.
Hugely valuable. Our sources talk about this beautiful duality. On one hand, you have the absolute peak of luxury, this kind of man-made perfection, engineered within the resorts, everything designed for comfort and seclusion.
The bubble.
The bubble, exactly. And then right alongside it, you have this raw, powerful, ancient nature. You have the deep, dark green intensity of Mount Otomano looming over everything, this constant reminder of massive volcanic forces.
Yeah, that mountain seems inescapable.
It is. And you also have the sense of the vast, untamed Pacific Ocean just beyond the protective reef. You can often hear the waves crashing on the outer reef, even from the calm lagoon. It reminds you of the power that shaped the place.
That geological context, again, it's literally a collapsed volcano rim we're vacationing inside.
Exactly. That unique geography, the caldera remnant forming the main island, the protective coral reef with a motus on it, is why the lagoon is so calm and uniquely beautiful. Understanding the geology adds another layer to the appreciation.
So overall vibe, serene, slow, warm people. A contrast between engineered luxury and raw nature. What is it not?
It's definitely not a party destination. Don't go expecting buzzing nightlife like you might find in Ibiza or parts of the Caribbean.
Much more chill.
Intensely chill, profoundly restful. The overwhelming feeling is one of pure distilled romance and deep relaxation.
So it's a place you go to connect or disconnect.
Both, I think. It's perfect for deeply connecting with a partner, hence the honeymoon reputation. But it's also ideal for completely disconnecting from the stress and noise of the outside world and just recharging your own batteries in this incredibly beautiful, peaceful setting. The emotional takeaway seems to be visual peace and inescapable tranquility. #8. Conclusion and the final verdict.
Okay, we have truly done a deep dive here. We've navigated the epic journey, dissected the often terrifying costs, looked at the different ways to stay and eat, highlighted the essential experiences.
And tried to capture that unique vibe.
Right, so it all comes down to this. The final verdict time, Bora Bora, paradise, or overpriced perfection. Is it ultimately worth it?
You know, like with so many things that are this legendary and this expensive, the answer isn't a simple yes or no. It really has to be conditional.
Okay.
So after looking at everything, the logistics, the cost, the unique factors, I personally land on a conditional yes, but.
A yes, but. Okay, intriguing. What are the conditions? What are the buts? When is it worth it?
I think it's worth the extreme cost, the pilgrimage, everything, only if 4 key factors really align for you, the listener.
Factor number 1.
First, it really needs to be earmarked for a truly special, probably once-in-a-lifetime kind of vacation. We're talking a honeymoon, a major milestone anniversary, maybe fulfilling a dream you've saved for and waited years to achieve. It's not really a casual vacation destination.
Right, special occasion. Condition 2.
Second, and this is maybe the most critical, you absolutely must have saved specifically for this trip beforehand and have the funds readily available. You need to be able to go and enjoy it without constantly feeling stressed or guilty about every dollar you're spending.
Right, the financial stress would ruin the tranquility.
Completely. If you're sweating every $80 sandwich, the magic is lost.
Condition 3.
Third, you have to be proactive about extracting the real value. That means committing to doing those high-value, authentic experiences, especially the full-day lagoon tour. And it means employing that strategic approach to food hitting the roulottes to prevent the dining costs from just bleeding you dry. You need to get more than just the luxury bubble.
Makes sense. And the final condition, number 4.
It has to specifically match your ultimate travel dream. If your fantasy revolves around that very precise, iconic combination, the dramatic volcanic peak, that impossibly blue protected lagoon, and the absolute pinnacle of overwater bungalow luxury, then yes.
Because nothing else quite matches that specific picture.
Exactly. If that specific trifecta is what you've been dreaming of, then Bora Bora delivers something unique, something that arguably lives up to the hype because nowhere else looks or feels quite like that combination. The value is in its singularity.
Okay, so that's the conditional yes. Special occasion, money saved, seeking value, and chasing that specific iconic image.
That's my take. If those conditions are met, then yes, it could be worth the extraordinary price.
I think I co-sign that conditional yes.
Yeah.
But I also need to offer the pragmatic counterpoint, especially thinking about listeners weighing this trip against, say, 5 or 6 other potential amazing trips they could take for the same money.
That's a very valid point, opportunity cost.
So my counter verdict is no. It's not worth it if getting there means going into significant debt, or if it means sacrificing multiple other potential travel experiences that could also be incredible.
Financial responsibility is key. Don't bankrupt yourself for a vacation.
Exactly, because let's be honest, there are other places in the world. You mentioned the Maldives, parts of Thailand, the Philippines maybe, certain spots in the Caribbean where you can get a truly stunning white sand beach, crystal clear water experience.
Absolutely beautiful places.
Maybe even find a decent overwater bungalow somewhere for potentially a tenth, maybe even less, of the total cost of a week-long high-end Bora Bora blowout.
That's undeniably true.
Oh.
You can have incredible tropical luxury for far less money elsewhere.
So, the synthesis, bringing it all together, seems to be what you said earlier. The magic of Bora Bora is incredibly specific.
It really is. Geographically specific, that Caldera Lagoon Motu formation, and infrastructurally specific, that concentration of top-tier overwater luxury focused on that view.
If that specific combination is your holy grail of travel,
then maybe nothing else will truly satisfy that itch. It stands alone in that regard.
but it's a magic that comes with an exceptionally high entry fee, and it demands careful planning and financial readiness to truly appreciate it without stress.
Absolutely. Which leads us to our final thought for you, the listener, to kind of mull over.
Okay, leave us with something provocative.
If Bora Bora, after hearing all this, still represents that ultimate must-do life goal for you, then you need to get serious about the financial planning now, like today.
Don't just daydream, actually plan.
Yes. Go open a dedicated savings account.
Yeah.
Label it Bora Bora Bungalow Fund or something. And start contributing regularly, maybe aiming 5 years out or whatever is realistic for you.
Why so far in advance?
Because funding it slowly, deliberately, and stress-free is probably the only way to ensure that when you finally do get there, the immense cost doesn't overshadow the actual experience. Arriving debt-free and financially prepared is the ultimate key to unlocking and enjoying that expensive paradise.
Excellent, very pragmatic advice for tackling the heavyweight champion of travel dreams. That's probably all the time we have for this deep dive into Bora Bora.
It was a big one to unpack. Hopefully that gives everyone a clearer picture of the reality behind the fantasy. Until next time, travel smart.